I've been wanting to do this for a long, long time. My life has not been the same. I lost a pet. He was our everything. Someone who came into our life at the most unexpected moment and left the same way. Someone who has stayed with us for more than a decade and simply brought the family together. Someone who we deeply, deeply loved and cared about. I'm talking about Puchu, my dearest. I would rather call him a sibling. Sibling because I am a only child in the family. But I think somewhere down the line he became a brother that I always wanted. Always in in December, on the 29th of December, we lost him to CKD. I was the one who brought him to the house. He was very little. I can remember that he was probably 2 or 3 weeks old, drenching in the rain. And I just wanted to give him a shelter. But before we realized, he became a part of our family. We never knew that he had any sort of kidney diseases. He was very healthy. He was eating, he was playing, he was the sweetest, cutest, best boy in the world. And all of a sudden I get a call from my mom saying that Puchu hasn't eaten. He was feeling very weak and there's something wrong. I took a cab. I was very shocked to see him weak. The very next morning, we took him to a hospital nearby. They gave him fluids and yeah, and they weren't able to diagnose what was happening with him. So the next day again we went, and the doctor told us that there was nothing they could do. So I shifted him to Kochi, and at the Cochin Pet Hospital, things went fast. They diagnosed that he had CKD, and creatine level were so high, and um, so Puchu has been with us for nearly 10 years. I don't think anyone considered him a cat. He was rather the mm, eldest person in the room. When the doctors told me that there is nothing they could do for him, I didn't know what to expect. I asked them whether they could give me a probable time maybe for how much long we have with him. But they didn't, obviously, they couldn't predict that either. There were cats who lived years after being diagnosed with CKD, but mine was a universal case. And so they weren't sure whether they could give me a confirmation of when or where, how much time is left. So I decided I'll give him the bestest treatment. I even asked for options to transport him abroad. Maybe there we could find some better medication, but there wasn't. Apparently, since cat is a very small animal, you don't have the dialysis option either. It is possible for dogs though. I took care of him for 14 days. My parents came to Kochi because they couldn't afford to miss him even for a day. They didn't know that uh, time was running short, and all of a sudden, on a very fine day, okay. So CKD is something that there are good days and there are bad days, worse days. So over the course of time, I get used to it. And then there was this one worse day, I would say. His body temperature was down. He even struggled to stand straight. So as usual, we have fluid therapy twice a day. I took him to the therapy and came back home. He was very cold. So in the hospital, we kept water bags. I was sitting right next to him, working, and he kept staring at me. And I remember telling him, "You don't have to worry. You shouldn't worry because nothing is going to happen when I am with you. You don't have to worry, my little baby." I kissed him. I felt like he wanted water. He was too weak to sort of uh, drink water of his own. So I took a spiller and gave him a few drops of water, which he drank. And moments later, he had a heart attack, which was common apparently in such cases. And before I even knew he was home in my arms, I was the one who brought him home in my arms, and I was the one holding him in his last breath. I feel like he really lived a full life. I mean, I cannot remember how much my parents adored him. They loved him more than me, and I'm so glad about this. I wanted to make this video because I don't know, people don't talk about grief a lot. I know it is not one of the most exciting topics to talk about, but I remember very vividly that during those months, days, and weeks, I searched for answers. I searched for anything and everything about grief. I I wanted to know how to process it. Initially, I I sort of avoided all the questions, all the thoughts that I had in my mind. It isn't easy. I found a couple of videos online from therapists. I also remember this series of posts that producer Supriya Menon, who is also the wife of actor Prithviraj Sukumaran, she posted on Instagram after the demise of her father. Losing someone so close is heartbreaking. You're exhausted. And I wanted to make this video, sort of put this out there so that more people talk about the process. Because our whole life revolved around him. Every plan that I make, every future investment revolved around him. So it it is hard to realize that this person is no longer with you, and you frankly don't know how to live with it. Yeah. So I know that my Puchu, he doesn't want me crying. I really don't know what we really learned in schools. Processing the hardest things in life. They didn't guide us through how to choose a person. Life and death. These are two only truths in the world, and we know nothing about it. I remember writing a post on Facebook a couple of years back when I saw an interview of Shonali Bhosle. That's I think her name. The Sky is Pink, the director of Sky is Pink. I remember her speaking of her son's demise and how she celebrates Death Day. I haven't reached there. I cannot still wrap my head around that very thought, that how do we celebrate the death of someone we dearly loved. I cannot comprehend at this point. But she's a mother. No one can love you more than your mother. And if she says so, it's perhaps possible. But I wanted to make this video to sort of encourage people to talk about grief, to talk about how to process it. More importantly, to know how we can live without having the person that we believed is our whole world. So, if you're watching this, please share your thoughts on how you survived the loss of a loved one, because that would, I believe, that would help a lot of people.